What's up, weirdos? I'm Felicia and I like scary movies, and today I'm talking about a prequel, which I don't think I've ever done on this channel, but we're talking about Orphan First Kill. Orphan First Kill is the prequel to the 2009 film Orphan. It gives us a bit of Esther's origin story where she escapes an Estonian psychiatric facility and then travels to America by impersonating the missing daughter of a wealthy family. Now, this is going to be a spoiler video, but at the top here, I just want to give you a quick spoiler-free review so I can tell you a little bit about what I thought, and then we'll get into the good stuff. So first of all, I'm a big fan of the original Orphan film. I thought that movie was freaking brilliant when it came out and so scary and creepy and just excellente. When I heard about this movie, I had some reservations. One, because I don't know if I've ever seen a really well done prequel. Please put your face down in the comments. And two, because I saw that Isabelle Fuhrman was reprising her role of Esther, and I was like, that was boggling my mind. I was like, okay, she was like 10 years old when she played that role. She's an adult woman now. How is she gonna come back and play that role again? I just didn't see how they were gonna do it. And so my expectations, very low going in, and I gotta say, I thought this movie was awesome. When the movie started, I was like, oh no, is this gonna be a very formulaic villain origin story? And then no, there are twists and turns and things you wouldn't expect. The acting is great. Julia Stiles is in this. I mean, there's so much about this movie that works really, really well, and I definitely think it's worth checking out. So that's a mini review. Okay, now, spoilers. So the whole reason I'm making a spoiler video right now is I felt like I had to address the true crime inspiration behind Orphan First Kill. So first of all, there was a big story that came out a few years ago that on the Daily News, I think is where it was first posted, and they were like, real life orphan story. And it's not exactly the plot of Orphan, thank goodness. But that story that came out was about Natalia Grace Barnett, who was accused of being a fake child that had gotten into the foster care system, who was actually an adult posing as a child. She was from Ukraine. There is a big giant story surrounding her and her adopted family and everything that went down. I'm pretty sure there's a Sinister Sisters podcast episode about it. Yes, I just checked. We do have an episode on this. I never remember anything I've ever done, so I always have to check myself. But yes, that episode exists. Go check it out. Okay, so we have that story to start. Then this movie, I believe, takes inspiration from a lot of other true crime stories, and I want to go over a couple here. So yes, this prequel starts out and Esther is in an Estonian psychiatric facility, and she has some sort of rare disorder that makes her always look like a child. Her bones don't grow, her facial features don't change. She is the body of a child, and she's like in her 20s. The beginning of this movie also tells us that Esther is very violent and manipulative, has learned to use her childlike appearance to her benefit. And Esther uses those tools of manipulation to break out of the psychiatric ward. And then what she does is genius, and this is where another true crime story comes out. So she looks up missing children on the internet from America, which is where she wants to get to. She picks one that looks close enough to her with enough age difference that it all works. And then she waits in a park until somebody finds her and says, hello, little girl, are you okay? And she says, no, I am a missing child from America. My name is Esther. Please return me to my family. So this story immediately reminded me of the guy, Frederick Borden. So this guy is like, what was a master impersonator, like took on like 500 identities throughout his life. But the one that made big headlines is that, so there was a child, an American child from San Antonio, Texas, that went missing at age 13 in 1994. And in 1997, Frederick Borden went to some authorities and said, I am that missing child. Please take me there. Please take me back home. He took on Barclay's identity, was flown to San Antonio, Texas, and the family said, yes, that's him. Despite the fact that Borden had a French accent and like brown hair, I'm also on the Wikipedia page, brown eyes, and the child that had left had been from San Antonio, Texas, and was had blue eyes. Like, none of it made sense. And so Borden actually lived with this family posing as their missing child for 5 months in 1997. And it wasn't until a local private investigator was like, this doesn't seem right. I'm looking at photos of your missing child. I'm looking at photos of this kid. It doesn't seem to be the same. And in 1998, the FBI took his fingerprints and did like a DNA test, and they're like, no, this is not your missing child. And he was imprisoned for 6 years. And then as soon as he got back to France, he did it again. He just kept impersonating people. Like that was like what he did for many years. And so that story leads us to another place in Orphan First Kill. So people were like, how did this family from San Antonio, Texas not know that this person was not their son? How did they not know that? And a couple of theories had come out of that. One, that the family was just so grateful to have their child back that they thought they had lost, that they just were willing to accept anything. Another one is that they knew that the child was dead and had something to do with it, and so they felt like they had to take on this child to cover up the fact that they had let the original Nicholas Barclays die. I don't know. And this story is now bringing to me how I'm really going to spoil this movie for you. So the mother, played by Julia Stiles, and the brother seem to be pretty suspicious, but not outwardly so, I guess, to her about like, is this really Esther? Like there's some sort of suspicion going on with them, and you are suspecting that, oh, maybe they can sniff out her lie, because Esther, from what we know in the original Orphan film, is very dangerous, and we're like, oh no, is she gonna go kill this other family in this new movie? Like, is that what's gonna happen? So she's got like kind of a tough relationship with the mother and the son, and just like in the original Orphan film, she gets very close to the father. And the father in this is played by Rossif Sutherland. And so they start to develop a bond, and there's a lot of resentment going on between the mother and Esther and the father and the son, and there's all this drama, and we're like, what's going on? Like, I'm watching this and I'm like, it feels like the plot of the first film, but something feels off. And then we find out what it is. That Julia Stiles character, the mother, already knew that her child was dead, her daughter, okay? And she had covered up the death because the killer of her daughter was her own son. Ah! And this brings me into my third true crime inspiration in this movie, which is the Jonbenet Ramsay case. So the leading theory in the Jonbenet, okay, not leading, there's a lot of theories, but one of the theories of the Jonbenet Ramsay case is that her brother actually killed her, either by accident or on purpose, and the family kind of created this big chaos to cover it up, and it's never been solved. So, but a lot of people think that the brother did it. So in this, the brother actually did do it. The brother killed his sister. We don't exactly know how, I don't think. And so when Esther comes back into their life, both the mother and the son know that's not Esther, because they know Esther is dead. The only person that thinks it's Esther is the father. And Esther doesn't know any of this is going on for the first chunk of the movie. She thinks she's just like won the lottery with this family. No. There's actually darkness on both sides. And so from an audience perspective, you go from thinking Esther is the villain of the film to being scared for Esther, and then Julia Stiles is becoming the villain of the film, and it's just crazy. It's like twisting and turning. And I'm not gonna like, because I mean, this is a spoiler, but I'm not gonna take you through every moment or anything, but the way in which Julia Stiles becomes the villain in this movie is so freaking like scary and creepy, and I don't know, she plays her role so well. And so does the father. Like, he is like so deeply happy that his daughter has returned and that she has this new gift of painting, and he's a painter, and like there's all this love between them. And then what the movie becomes is more than just a simple horror movie about an evil child. It becomes the tragedy of Esther. This movie allows you to care about Esther in a way that makes her character so much more three-dimensional, and it's awesome. And by the way, because I think I have to say this because of what I said at the beginning, Isabel Fuhrman, so they de-age her with some CGI. I don't notice it. I didn't notice it at all. And then they have, I mean, according to the IMDb, they have actors like wearing platform shoes when they're in scenes with her to make her look very small. But I thought her performance and like the added elements of film trickery, I believed that she was a child. the whole time. I was only thinking about it for the first few minutes of the movie because of like what I already knew, but then after that, I was fully convinced and I thought it was excellent. So I thought that went really well. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about those true crime stories, how I felt they influenced this film, and just tell you to check it out. You can watch it on Paramount Plus, or you can go see it in theaters, and then I'm sure at some point it's gonna come to like the rest of VOD land. But it's pretty good, y'all. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a nice screen. Bye.